Welcome to Getting to the Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee from MTR Podcast. Welcome to the podcast. Today's guest is artist, educator, because that was another thing that you mentioned a second ago. We got Will Watson on here. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing? I know y'all can't talk back to me, but I'm sure y'all doing all right.
I like that. That was actually really smooth, by the way.
Yeah. It's because I'm used to being on these Zoom calls with children. So I'm like, that's like one of the first things I say, how y'all doing?
The first thing I do on any of my Zoom stuff, I make sure my browser is proper, and then I actually act like I'm having a conversation. So thanks again for coming on the podcast. So I checked your stuff out because I've been like Instagram stalking Bopa. And so any artists that I check them out, I'm like, okay, I like what they're doing. That's fire. Let me check them out. Let me hit them up. And I've gotten real. I want to say since COVID's gone down, I've gotten real ignorant when it comes to shooting my shot. I'm like, yo, you should be on this podcast, right? So let's talk about your work a little bit. So describe your work, because I see it behind you and fire behind you. Right. I hope that's you. I hope I'm giving the proper compliments there, but describe your work.
No, I appreciate that. No, thank you. My work, I create mixed media images, surrounding or around like just the nuances about everyday life. From obviously an African-American canon. I like to create work specifically about experience, about my experiences, about shared experiences. I try to create things that are relatable, images and paintings that really hit home and can resonate. Oftentimes they find ways of pulling on moral strings, which is interesting, which is kind of fun. Yeah. But it's really just a visual unpacking. A lot of this work has become so vulnerable. A lot of the work is about, current times. It's about now. So a lot of it recently has been heavier, serious. But there's always an undertone or a overtone, really, of something joyous and friendly and fun in the midst of telling a portion of our narratives.
That was a fire way to explain it. Some people just like, yeah, I do stuff. I'm like, all right, then, cool.
I went to grad school, man, so they beat a lot of those philosophical, they made us do a lot of that stuff. But it's very helpful in learning how to talk about your work, because sometimes you might give a simple answer that's so complex that nobody really understands what you're talking about. I just make stuff. Yeah. What?
Like what is that?
Or you could take a choice to kind of use your words and impress some folks when you throw out a couple big ones.
Yeah, it's like, one of those $5 words right there. I see. I think it also, when being able to go through and really think about it, I think it's mindful when someone asks what you do and you're able to like kick it back out to them, but really honestly and openly get across what you feel from what you're presenting and what you're working on, what thought goes into it. One, it keeps you on point with yourself, I think. And I have those conversations when I do this podcast stuff. I've been doing it for 12 years, and someone will ask me what is it about? What are you doing? And, I'll have people that I podcast with, they'll say, we just talk shit. I'm like, that's not what we do. I was like, we try to take news. So I do a podcast, Mastermind Team's Robcast, where we cover pop culture and weird news. We have this irreverent take on it. We try to take these things that are kind of maybe challenging and so on, but we try to play it as a game, and we try to have our takes on it, like a real genuine conversation. And usually it's pretty funny, but it's irreverent in tone. And then with this one, it's kind of putting on like the local artists and the local entrepreneurs, the tastemakers, people that are driving and making up the culture.
That's awesome.
So I think if I'm not able to say it, people are like, what are you doing?
Right. Forgive me if I might interrupt or have a lag. I'm getting like a little delay on my side. It's not your fault. I'm using really trash internet, so don't even worry about it.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get. So you touched on a bit when you going over like describing your work. So what like ideas and concerns and objectives, like maybe right now, or maybe either right now or when you like first thought of like, these are the things I want to express in my work. What are some of those ideas, concerns, and objectives that like motivated your work?
Over the summer, I'll talk specifically about, I created a lot of work over the summer, over like COVID.
Yeah.
And usually, I don't remember the last time it happened, but I have like a Tidal subscription, and every once in a while, or it's happened maybe like twice, I think, Jay-Z puts out this playlist called Songs for Survival. And I listened to both playlists, and I actually really started to think about that, like songs for survival, survival, messages for survival, art for survival. I started to just think about like surviving. Yeah. 2020, summer 2020, we had COVID, and this shit show of like cops just killing folks, like a lot. It's like it was like an overload this year, and it was like mostly all film. So we literally watched a lot of this stuff happen, and we had to confront a lot of it head on. We weren't able to ignore the issues and the pain of our narrative. So that has been one subject, is that the pain. We can't ignore it. We can't forget it, because it's there. It's a part of our story. It's a part of who we are. But also within that pain, there's so much joy. There's so much vibrance. There's so much color. So I try to focus on that too. And then also just the narrative of being, existing, living, breathing. Those are all just kind of topics that I'm interested in.
When we have those things of like, you have that vibrancy, you have that life, and I think people have like color. we have like just a certain energy. We have a certain like flair to things. And when with some of the stuff I think that we saw during the summer month and really forever, but like, let's just look at recent history, like summer months will have you just seeing that vibrancy just kind of get extinguished. It's hard. It's hard to like look at it and try to get something out of it. And we have a very I think as Black people, we have a very resilient manner about us, but at times it's like I need something else to get through this. Absolutely.
I think resilience began the moment those individuals decided to stay on those ships. Those people that jumped and gave up right away. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But some of our ancestors sat there and was like, "Yo, we're gonna accept whatever fate is coming, and we're gonna beat it." And recognizing that resilience and in our ancestral pattern, that kind of helps. Yeah. For one, that helped fuel me through the summer because it was tough. So having them and that kind of spiritual connection up there kind of help. Let's go, keep it going.
It was very tough, and I think like we all like, I think as a people, in terms of how we communicate and all of that stuff, we were all kind of hit with just this kind of overarching. It hit certain people like differently, but I think in this overarching, like sustained, like just vibe, like of just this sucks. And just not being able to do anything that felt like normal. And, you know, I think one of the things that you touched on earlier was that you did a lot of creating during that period of time. I was recording 3 to 4 podcasts a week, and I was like, I usually do one. I'm so, you just throw yourself into your work to try to cope. So in it, would you say, like, how, I guess, what is something that you need to kind of get into that frame of mind where I'm going to work on this? I'm feeling inspired. I need to work on something.
This is a PG show? No, I'm joking.
I mean,
shouts out 4:20 a.m. I usually wake up.
My guy.
And get my day started.
No, absolutely. I used to have this running bit where I used to get like really like faded, and I'm like, all right, so I need to edit a podcast because I'm going to be useless for the rest of the day. So I need to be mildly productive.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that happens, but no, just literally just a lot of it, man, is passion. It's passion. It's something. It's some shit you can't even make up. You know. It's a drive that you can't even really describe, but it's just a unwaveringly like desire to just do this thing. It might not even make you any money, really, like, but you just love it that much to where you just need to create. So whether it's just, I don't need much, man. I can make something if you just give me a piece of paper and a pencil. Hell, I'll even go with a crayon, man. If I got an idea, you know, it's go time. Whenever it's time to go, it's time to go. You know. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's just one of those things when you get hit with the bug, and that's the way I describe it. You get hit with the bug or that whatever, you know, I don't even describe it as the bug. I call it like the creative Holy Ghost. When you get hit with it, it's like, look, I got the shakes. I need to get this in. I need to do this.
Right. You know, it's
like my pew pit is the studio, what have you. It's just like, I put this green screen up. Let's do this. We're streaming. Let's go.
Legit. I found so much peace and just like, yeah, it's like a safe place. It's my sanctuary.
So what drew you to like the mixed media, to painting, and why those like mediums versus other styles, other mediums?
I started off primarily like pastel paper drawing, ink drawings. But I started to notice my work falling more into the category of like illustration. That's cool, but that's not really where I wanted to exist in art history, because that's something I think about. I don't necessarily want to be looked at or thought of as an illustrator. That's not something I'm interested in. And in undergrad, I actually had my intended major was painting, and I ended up dropping painting in undergrad and did just like a general fine arts degree, just because I had a small beef with one of the painting professors.
As one does.
Yeah. So, I think life just kind of led me back to the medium. It's something that, I tried to even take a break from. Like, I was like, you know what, this is not cool. I mean, I'm not even gonna make no money from this. Let me go try to do something else. And then, no, of course, you get bit by that bug again. And this time, I guess it just lasted the whole way this time.
Hell yeah. So in that, you said how you wanted to be described and not necessarily want to be described, how would you describe your artistic style, and what artistic movements or artists have influenced you to help you kind of get to where you're at in your career?
All right. No, it's cool. I hated art history, but I'm like, I took so many art history classes that I just couldn't help but to end up liking it, and ended up getting like a minor in it at one point. So my work is rooted in a knowledge of art history. It's rooted in the understanding that a lot of the things that there's nothing truly new under the sun. The only thing that I can add to this is just my experience, my story, my narrative, my ideas. Because as far as technique, that's everybody already did. Somebody did it. So I look a lot at the entire scope of art history, really, as I'm seeking inspiration for art. Being a teacher kind of like gives me like a cheat code in doing that, because I'm constantly revisiting images from art history, especially a lot of the cheesy ones that we learn as kids. But what's fun is having a knowledge of, more contemporary artists, and, having friends who are actually like contemporary artists, who I can also throw in those at the pot too, and also kind of draw inspiration from. But specifically, I know I'm winded today. I feel like I'm long-winded, Lord.
Oh, you good.
But the Baroque art period, 16th century paintings for like what's the dude's name? Peter Paul Rubens, and I like older stuff than that. Titian, Tintoretto, a lot of that stuff over in Italy. A bunch of dead white guys. Bunch of dead white guys. More contemporary artists. I've been really into Nick Cave's work, his sound sculptures, and how colorful and creative those are. I'm a huge fan, always and forever, of Amy Sherrill and her portrait work. Derek Adams, Baltimore native. Ernest Shaw, Baltimore native.
I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I'm just, these people, maybe within the Kerry James Marshall, I hadn't had an opportunity to meet him, but I met, those other names I mentioned are just a few artists who inspire me, but also I've been blessed and to be able to kind of build a relationship with and have small access to. At least I got their phone number. I can text them. They might text me back 2-3 weeks, months later. But
what's this emoji? What do you want?
Right. But man, art history in itself is where I find all of this stuff. Pop art.
So
I can start naming a bunch of names.
So in that, and this is maybe a loaded question, I don't know, but what do you believe is like a key element? And I think you may have touched on it, but what do you think is a key element in creating good composition?
In creating my composition?
Yes.
Movement. One of the things that I loved about the 1600 chiaroscuro and Baroque art period was the movement. That's when we really started to see how artists would take the figure and bend and twist them and turn them and all of these crazy dynamic poses that to maybe a 11-year-old kid might be dry, it might be boring, But the moment I was 27, 28, and I had a chance to go see some of these things, and in Italy looking at some of this stuff, like I completely got it. And I remembered those moments where I was like, yo, I hate this. And it completely like flipped, and I'm like, yo, I love this. Like, take me back.
Nice.
It's
that when you get that moment where you're like, okay, now I get it. Now this is where we're at now. And like, when I went to the AVAM like not too long ago, and I just like, that was the first time I've ever gone, and I like museums and all of that stuff. And I'm one of those people that think like art doesn't feel accessible for some people. It's like, oh, well, I need to put on a tie for this, or whatever the thing is. It's just like, it's just kind of like almost stuffy elitism thing that it's positioned as sometimes. And really, it's like regular people that have a talent and they want to express themselves. And I spoke with my, one of my peers about this, and she was just like, I don't get art. And I was like, did you look at something? Did you feel something about it? Did you get something out of it?
Yeah.
And that's my viewpoint on it. And that's changed a lot as I've gotten older, because earlier I was like, this isn't accessible. I don't get it. I'm not smart or whatever. It feels too intellectual for me. So what are your takes on, I guess, like art being accessible, and what should someone get out of like your art? And like they go there, see your stuff in the gallery. I have this question about all of the different galleries your stuff has been featured in, your work has been featured in. What do you feel, what do you hope someone gets out of like seeing your art?
I think what I hope is that people have like a similar experience that they would to hearing like a song. So in our music specifically, is a way that we've been able to perform and express unapologetically our truths.
Yeah.
Wherever and whatever those truths may be, a lot of times we've managed to put those truths into music. And when I have people look at my work, I'd hope for a similar experience to where even if some of the things may seem too philosophical and some of the deeper meaning might go over your head because of the colors and the representation, there's still things in that piece that you can vibe with.
Yeah.
And I think those are important elements for me, is to not necessarily, my goal isn't to reach or talk to everyone. It's probably a whole demographic of people who probably would miss, 50% of the iconic, the symbols or whatever that I put in work. And that's okay.
Oh, the iconography. Yeah.
Thank you. I couldn't say that word to save my life just now.
So yeah, I think when you try to go for everybody, you end up missing. I think that's the thing. And it's great to hear that you're like, the people that's supposed to get it, they'll get it. Everyone else, you'll get it later, I guess. That's on you.
Or you'll ask me about it, or I'll write about it, and we'll do that thing and kind of spoon feed you. It's cool. We can do those things too. We got degrees for that.
we're now serving dinner, So your work has been featured in a number of galleries, from the Curtis Jacobs Gallery in Harlem, Hunter Gallery in Rhode Island, as well as various events, various cities. Why is it important to be an artist in Baltimore?
Why is it important to be an artist in Baltimore?
Yeah.
I think because Baltimore doesn't get the reputation it deserves. People only know Baltimore based on the news, images on the news, a television show, and the football team. Maybe the baseball team. But people have this negative stigma of this place. And, not even being from here, I'm not from Baltimore, but being here, going on maybe 5 years now. This place is actually kind of cool. not even kind of, like, the art scene here is not as pretentious as other places. The people here aren't as pretentious. Everybody's kind of cool. Most people have an end goal. And I think if you run into trouble out here, it's probably because you subconsciously may have been looking for it.
Yeah, that's right. It's like, hey, trouble. I was looking for you.
I was wondering when somebody was going to come rob me. No, don't think like that. Just enjoy your life, enjoy the city, enjoy the space. There's a lot of beautiful things here. I think people focus on so much of the negative that they forget about all of the beauty and all the culture and all the history that's deeply rooted in this place.
That's a great answer. I have 3 more questions, and I'll give you a chance to shamelessly plug anything that you got coming up, your website, your social media, all of that good stuff.
I wish I would have more of my stuff.
So, you touched on it, but maybe expand on it a little bit, specific to not necessarily the city, but the scene. Like, what is an interesting trait that you've noticed in Baltimore, to the Baltimore art scene, that you may not have seen, let's say, in your hometown or in other places where you've kind of dipped into the art scene? What's unique about Baltimore's art scene?
Again, Indianapolis I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Oh, go Colts, I guess. I don't know.
You can say that.
Hey, what do you say? I don't know.
You can say that.
It's a very smoky thing to say with the Baltimore connection.
Right. I love it. I always get hell about that, but it's fun. Y'all won too many championships already. Leave that alone. But to answer your question, it's not pretentious. It's not pretentious. It's not a place where art in itself is a competitive thing. No matter how you want to look at it, it's competitive. But here it's all love. It's legit love. People want to know what you're doing. People care about what you're doing. People want to invest in what you're doing. I'm starting to find that out a lot more with the mural projects happening in the city. And, being asked to do some murals instead of like applying to do them, that's been kind of cool. And that's the big difference between like here and in Indianapolis. I've heard numerous times about, sometimes how you have to leave your hometown. And I hate that that's my experience, because I love that place. I love it so much. It's tattooed on my body, But I wish that there were more opportunities for artists there. Here, the East Coast being so close to New York, DC, Philly, and that whole market, it just makes life a lot easier and a little bit more interesting for artists.
I dig it. We're like right there in that spot, and I want it to be like with folks like you and other like artists and just people doing dope stuff, that in that conversation, when he mentioned like the New Yorks, when he mentioned the Phillies and the DCs, that they're definitely mentioning Baltimore. That's one of my hopes, because I think kind of, as you touched on earlier, it's it's that reputation and exclusionary, because Baltimore and Philly are very similar, and it's not, you wouldn't think it is. And it's very similar. So last few questions I got, these are kind of the weirder questions. What is your most unusual talent?
Oh man, my most unusual talent. Have you ever seen ATL?
I have seen ATL. Yeah.
Roll Bounce.
Stop. Yeah.
Man, I should have been in one of those movies.
Oh, you're a skater.
I roll. You know,
okay.
I'm a little rusty. I took a hiatus for a number of years. But that's still a hidden talent. I don't really talk about it too much. I'm definitely talking about it a lot because I'm putting it on the podcast.
But, you have challenges come up to you.
That was one of the things that I've always enjoyed the most growing up. And it's something I kind of picked back up a little bit over the summer. You know, they say COVID, it's okay to kind of think about some of those things that used to make you happy.
Oh yeah.
And that was one for me. And it turned out to be kind of a hidden talent.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I saw like so many people posting videos of them skateboarding and things of that nature, just getting back out there. Like people can't tell how big I actually am, right? I'm 6'4", like 300 pounds or what have you. I'm a monster. And I used to skateboard back in the day, and they were like, yo, so Rob, you coming back? I was like, absolutely not. I mean, do you have a log with wheels on it? I could just get on? What are we doing?
The knees, 6'4", you might need some tires on your skateboard.
Absolutely. You know, I remember I interviewed the guys at North Avenue Market, and I showed up the next day and had some of their food and chilled at the arcade, and they were like, you look like the guy we talked to yesterday. I was like, I am. He's like, I thought you were like 5'6". I was like, nah, not at all.
Yeah,
right. So lastly, you touched on like some of your stuff with music, the Jay-Z like survival playlist or what have you. What's the last song you listened to?
Oh, shit. I knew this question was coming. I knew this question was coming, and I still wasn't ready for it. So I'm about to just look. Let
me just scroll through here. It's like looking through your musical browser history.
We'll see what the title says. The last song. That can't be the last song I listened to. But is the playlist? The playlist was 21 Savage. Savage Mode 2.
All right. Okay. All right.
I like that.
Many men just on blast.
No. I said, damn, 21, damn.
Like, this is what we got. I have such a weird eclectic music taste. Like I was thinking earlier, I was like, yo, I don't even know who's a rapper anymore. And I was just going through songs. I was like, I'll listen to Block Party, Tory Wah, some old friggin', I'll listen to like old rap, and occasionally I'll find some disposable nonsense from like a TikTok video that I'm like, all right, this kind of knocks. I think I was listening to a Megan Thee Stallion song before I started recording, and I was like, all right, that's some wild shit she just said here. I kind of like it. All right, cool. This is what we're doing.
You know, Megan brings that out. You know, she said.
Well, she's an Aquarius. She gets it. I mean, as we all know.
Some things in her songs you didn't even know you liked.
Well, just you have to be more cosmopolitan. You know.
I think I'm okay with that, Megan. I think I'm cool with that. Where's my wallet?
Just start patting around like, where's everything at? Is there a social security card in here? So thank you. This has been a treat. This has been really cool. So tell us where we can tell the folks where they can find you, check out your stuff, check out your art, and your socials, your website, anything that you want to promote.
WillWatsonArt.com. I got lots of stuff on there you can go buy. I got prints, I got hoodies, I got t-shirts, I got all that stuff. You know, support me, support my art. WillWatsonArt.com. It's easy.
Oh, yeah.
Go in there.
Oh yeah, don't botch it.
Instagram is Will_the_artist, and that's me on most social media. Super easy to find, very approachable. I wear hoodies with suits.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Hell yeah.
Yeah, man.
So That's all I got. I'm do my sign off. So for Will the artist, I feel like we're on that level now. You're Will the artist too. Guy. I'm Rob Lee saying that there's art in and around Baltimore. You just have to look for it.